So I thought I would take the time to film kind of everything that's going on with me right now. Back in November, around Black Friday, you know how they normally do those DNA test deals with Ancestry and 23andMe. Well, I've wanted to do one for years, but I was a little afraid, but I've wanted to do it forever. I wanted to know where I came from. I don't know my biological father's side. I know his name and a little bit about the family, but only like up to like a grandma. And even then, I don't know where we came from, what countries, where our origins are. And my mom is the same way. I literally know a fourth of my ancestry because my mom knows her mom's side. But other than that, she doesn't know her dad's side. And for me not to know my biological father's side on maternal and paternal, it kind of leaves me at a loss of where I came from. So I did the DNA test. I don't know if it took like 5 to 6 weeks to come back, and I got the DNA results, and I was so excited. Basically said I kind of joke that I'm 99% butt white, but I got it back saying that I was like 78%, something with to do with English, and then 20% Irish, and then 1% Cameroon Congan Bantu, which I thought was really fun. I thought that was awesome. We're wondering if it kind of stems to one of my mom's side of the roots because I don't see it anywhere on my father's side. So all that being said, when I did it, I got a bunch of matches for my DNA, so it was pretty cool. A lot of them were second and third cousins, and this was actually from, and I don't want to say the name. I'm trying to think of how I can describe this, but my biological father's side. So that was pretty cool. And then people started reaching out to me directly, saying, hey, how are we related? I've never seen your name before. And I got to kind of explain. And again, this is really touchy for me because I've never reached out to my biological father's side. I didn't necessarily want to. I just wanted to know where I came from. I have a dad that adopted me when I was a baby. So he's been my dad. He will always be my dad. But you can't help to want to know where you came from. So it's been something I've wondered about for a long time, and I'm almost 31, and I'm 30 years old, and I've waited a long time before I dug into this so deep. So as I dug in and somebody reached out to me, I kind of had to explain, and of course I was really nice. I wasn't rude. I mean, the story that I know is that my biological father and my mom were really young. I think she was 18 and he was in his early 20s. I forget how old he was, but he was pretty young. Early 20s. I think he was 3 or 4 years older than her. Sorry, I'm yawning. It's hard for me to get around to doing all this stuff, recording, but I wanted to have my feelings out there. So what happened is, they were together when my mom found out she was pregnant, and I think she found out she was like 8 weeks along, so she didn't know right away. And then at like 5 months pregnant, I guess he decided to go back with his ex-girlfriend, and then they got married, I think literally 2 days before I was born. I was due in March, like the middle of March, but I was born at the end of February on Leap Day. And then they got married right before that. So then so he didn't even get to sign the birth certificate or anything because he got married right around then. So again, I know it sounds bad. I don't know the story. I don't know what happened. It's just what I know. Maybe one day he'll tell me the story, and maybe he never will. But it was really great when I got all these matches because I started explaining who I was. And I kind of got myself prepared for knowing, when you're doing all this searching, you know that there can be a lot of pain and hurt that comes your way. Like, you don't know, is somebody going to be mad at you and it's going to be the worst thing ever to reach out? Like, you're going to get screamed at, or you're going to be hurt even more. You already deal with a level of hurt and rejection because of knowing why wasn't my dad around? What, and I know it's nothing that I personally did, but you still wonder, what was going through his thought, what's going through his mind, and and I know some people could say, do you know your mom's being honest? I can tell you my mom is the most honest person in the world. She hates to lie. Like, she would never lie. She's always like, I can't. And, like, she's definitely a God-fearing woman. Not to say that all people that say they're God-fearing are, but if you knew my mom, you know what an honest person she is. Even if it's something so small, she's like, I can't lie about that. That's just, no. I mean, I have to be honest. And that's something I love about her. She's taught me to be genuine no matter what. And so I know she's telling me the truth. So, and the DNA test confirmed I am part of this family tree. And it was really cool to find out, like, you know, they had all these, they had this big group of, like 130 people on one side of the family. So, like, let's just call them the S side and the Q side. So S and Q got, you know, married. And now there's a big side for the Q family, and they have like 130 like ancestors and cousins all listed. And it was really cool for me because I knew nothing about this side of the family. I had no connection besides just the little bit of S side that I had. So it was just great to hear. And then I got to see pictures of my great grandparents, and I found out my great grandparents had 10 kids, and of the 10 kids, there was two sets of twins, which you don't know this, but I just had identical twin girls a little over a year ago. And yes, identical is supposed to happen by chance, but it was really neat for me as a woman just to see like what a strong woman my great grandmother was, to be able to birth two sets of twins in the late 30s, early 40s. I don't know what years they were exactly, but around that time, because my grandfather was born in the 40s. He passed away from a car accident, so I will never meet him because he died when my biological father was very young. So it was amazing for me to find out all this and to see a picture and to have a piece of like where I came from. Like, I've not had that. I only have a little bit. And even on my mother's side, they don't track things the same way or they've never dug into it this way. And maybe I can get them on it. I'm such a like detective that I've been doing research as much as I can for years, but held myself back and not reached out. And it's been hard. I mean, I've known about this information since I was a little girl, and you know, I know my biological father has other kids, and I didn't want them to be like I don't know if they know about me. I didn't want them to feel hurt. I didn't want to mess up with their childhood or anything. And you know, I have a dad, so like I just didn't even reach out or anything, and I'm glad that I didn't. I didn't need to. But you know, I have a family of my own now, and I'm curious about, you know, medical history and traits and just all of it. I mean, to find this out last week, I can't tell you like what a piece it gave me. This level of like a piece of like completion, I guess, something I've just wondered about for so long, and excitement too, you know. And I was prepared for the worst. When you go into looking, like when you were adopted, like, again, my mom is my biological mother, but you know that you could hurt and something bad could happen, or you know, like, you prepare yourself for the worst. And I had people like welcoming me, and I just didn't expect that. And I didn't expect there to be a whole Facebook group that they invited me to. And then it's just like all of a sudden I'm getting all these requests and people telling me stuff, and it's almost like too much. Like, I feel like I've been this big secret, and I feel very uncomfortable because it's like nobody knows that I existed. And so, you know, is that fair for me to feel like that's a secret that I have to keep? Like, it just doesn't feel like it's fair. Like, it shouldn't be on me, but yet I sometimes am feeling guilty, like it's my fault or something. Not my fault, but, you know, sharing this information. So the admin of this Facebook group posted, like, whenever there's a DNA match, they post like, hey, you know, Kaylee, can you go ahead and share all your information? Like, how are you related? So of course, you know, I can't just be like, hey, I'm related, and not tell people which branch I'm from. Like, how does that seem? I don't know, it just would almost make me look like a creeper or something. So I shared, and I did it in the most, I feel like, loving way. I feel like I just said, you know, hey, you know, I was born in this year, and this is the hospital I was born at, because I know they're probably going to use this information for their own documents, for their own tracking, because they seem to track and dig into things the way that I would. So I probably get it from that side. They're just so detail-oriented, and that's totally me. I dig into data for a living, and so it's just my nature to dig into details. It's perfect for my personality, and so I was kind of getting that information. Born in this city, in this state, in this year, and I said, my mother's this name, and this is my biological father. I've always wanted to know information about this family, and I, it was just so exciting that I got to find out all this information about these twins, and I have twins, and just I just was like overwhelmed with people like reaching out to me. And I mean, I think they're also trying to find out exactly where I'm from. And there was one person that did comment. I guess he technically would be my great uncle. He commented saying, basically, it was pretty mean. And I know that he could probably think that I'm trying to cause drama. And I worded things to where I couldn't. I mean, I've looked online trying to figure out how to reach out, but then at the same time, it's harder for me, I think, to reach out directly to my biological father, because I don't want to hurt my dad and say like, oh, I'm looking for a relationship with you. And also the fear of like your own biological father like rejecting you is like it's pretty scary. Like, I found stuff on my half sister and my half brother, but it's like I don't know, I don't feel like it's fair to reach out that way. And so when I reached out, most people were supportive. Then this one person just was like, you don't know basically what you're talking about. I don't know where you found this information from, and let's just, how many people you can hurt by doing this. And of course I was sad when I read it, but I prepared myself for it. It made me sad, and of course I was frustrated because I thought, how do you think I feel right now? How would it feel to feel like you're a secret from a whole part of your family, or biological family? I mean, I have a great family. It's not that I was missing out on anybody in particular, but the way I'm wired and the way I think about history, and when I go places, I'm like, oh, I wonder where this building, like who lived in this building, who lived in this house. So like, why would I not feel that same way about my own family tree? Like, I want to know these pieces. And even for my girls, I want them to know these pieces of where they come from. And like, just hearing these stories and personality types, and hearing my biological grandfather was like the life of the party. I see where my that might come from for me. It's just, I don't think I know that people would be shocked, but I really didn't say anything to put any blame on anyone. I didn't even say like anything about my biological father leaving when my mom was 5 months pregnant. That was not included in my message to the family. It was very nice. I'm not trying to cause drama. I don't want people to think of me that way. That's not who I am. They don't know me. So I don't want their first impression to be like, oh, this girl's causing drama. Like, it's just not my fault that I am in this situation. Our parents were young. Maybe he was scared. I don't really know. I don't know what happened. I know that based on the stories I've heard, I know he knows I exist, because there was talks that he and his wife were going to put me on their insurance, and when they were about to move to the Columbus area, and then I don't know what happened, but then they didn't. And then not long after, my dad actually adopted me, and I don't know what the process was for that. I know my mom met my dad in a time where she needed him, and I'm glad she did, because he's been great, and he's a great support system. He's a great papa. They call him Papa, and he's excellent. My kids are so blessed to have good grandparents on both sides, and I don't want my dad to ever think that I'm trying to hurt him or that he's being replaced. And so that's also why it's weird to just reach out directly to my biological father. Because I'm such a great detective. I think I know where he works, but there's no like phone number. I mean, there probably is a phone number I could call directly, but I did call it one time a couple years ago. Before the company was bought out, he had a direct number, like a cell phone number, but I didn't call the cell phone. I was too afraid. I called the work number and I asked for him, and the lady's like, oh, he's not here right now, but and I should have left a message, or I should have done something, but it was, I think, too scary. I also know my biological grandma knows about me as well, again, based on stories from my family, from my parents, and I believe my mom. She told me about the whole thing as well when I was like probably 7 or 8. Anyways, so I feel like I'm finding some things that are making me feel even more complete and like piecing together parts of who I am and the strength. Like I wish even a year ago that I knew that I had a great grandma that had 2 sets of twins, and then I have like a great aunt that had a set of twins, and it was so surprising for us to have twin girls, but it was such a blessing. We prayed to have babies for a long time, and before we had to go on any treatments or anything, it just happened when I dropped a few pounds, and just the biggest blessing ever. So if that's what I get from this whole family connection, then that's great. It's more than I had before. I'm not sure what's going to pan out over the next weeks, months, years, or whatever, but I definitely feel like my ears are burning because I keep getting friend requests like crazy from these family members, and they're probably really trying to decide who I am, if I'm honest or not. Like it's hard when you think people are judging you and thinking you're lying, but I did the DNA. I'm related. So if it's not him, it's somebody else, and he doesn't have siblings. So I essentially have to be his. I don't think he has siblings as far as I know. I think he was the only child, and wow. So a lot of stuff making me feel more complete, and I just wanted to document some of this journey in case anyone else is going through it or has any like feedback on when they're starting this, what happens. But I did have a bunch of people commenting after that rude post from my biological family, saying, from the Q side and S side, saying, we don't pick our kid, like you can't, like family is family, and so many people supporting me, which has made this way better of an experience than I thought it could be. I had a feeling that I would have a lot of hurt really come out of it, and it would probably be a bad situation. I actually didn't expect to get that many DNA matches, honestly. I thought maybe I'll find somebody, but I didn't think that there'd be that many people from the family that did DNA tests. So that was kind of a shock. And then to even know that many people were in that Facebook group, I didn't know. I thought it was like way extended family. I didn't even know there'd be people that were that close, say for example, a great uncle that is so close to my biological father. I had no idea. I don't think I would have shared the way that I did if I thought that. I was just trying to show my lineage, and how do you show your lineage without telling that part, like I said, without being a creeper or something. Anyway, so that's my update for now. Maybe I'll share more as the time goes on, but it's been exciting, slightly emotional, and emotional mostly in a good way, because just you don't realize like what's in you, like deep down. You think that everything's fine, and this might be some of my inner healing that I need too. Like if I have family members that are accepting me the way they are, it's more than I expected. So I thank those family members that have, and thanks guys for listening. I know it's not an exciting video, but if anything, it's for me to remember to look back on. Good night.